The Pantanal Conservation Complex consists of a cluster of 4 protected areas: Pantanal Montegrossense National Park, Doroche Private Reserve, Acorizal Private Reserve, and Peña Private Reserve, for a total area of about 188,000 hectares. This complex of protected areas is located in western central Brazil, at the southwestern portion of Mato Grosso state, at the international border with Bolivia and Paraguay. It represents 1.3% of Brazil's Pantanal, which is a principal part of one of the world's largest freshwater wetland ecosystems. Despite its relatively small size, the nominated site presents a unique combination of natural ecosystems, both wetlands and mountains, that make it unique within the Pantanal region. Boca da Onça, the mouth of the Jaguar River, is located between Bonito and Bodoquena. A 5.5-kilometer nature trail offers magnificent scenery, with abundant flora, fauna, and many waterfalls. One of the falls is the highest in the state of Mato Grosso do Sul, a height of more than 150 meters. There are 44 sites on the World Heritage List with major wetlands values, and 23 of them contain major freshwater ecosystems. However, they are in different biogeographic regions and represent different ecological characteristics. The Everglades National Park, for example, has an average altitude of 1 meter and thus lacks the altitudinal and ecological gradient of the Pantanal site, which reaches 900 meters in the Amolar Mountains. While mangroves are the predominant type of vegetation in the Everglades, the vegetation is more diverse in the Pantanal. The abundance and diversity of wildlife is the most spectacular feature of the site. The fauna of the Pantanal region is extremely diverse and includes 80 species of mammals, 650 birds, and 50 reptiles, and over 300 species of fish. The site is, in reduced scale, a model of ongoing ecological and biological processes that occur in the Pantanal. The association of the Amolar Mountains with the dominant freshwater wetland ecosystems confers to the site a uniquely important ecological gradient in the whole Pantanal region that contributes to important biological processes. The nominated World Heritage Site includes an impressive sample of Brazil's Pantanal diversity of landscapes, ecosystems, and species, and of the complex geological and hydrologic cycles that this region involves. Due to Brazil's financial and administrative struggles over the years, the development of ecotourism was only truly started in the 1980s. And in 1994, official Brazilian ecotourism guidelines were developed. Today, there are over 100 purely nature-based destinations in Brazil. Preservation, education, and conservation through community effort are the real fruits of this activity. A popular excursion is to the natural Aquarium Bay, where one can snorkel or raft 1 mile down the Bahia Bonita River, discover the waterfalls, and play in their pools. The waters of Bonito offer excellent visibility due to the high concentration of limestone, which serves as a purifying agent. On certain sites, transparency surpasses 30 meters, providing a vision of rare beauty, including fish species such as piraputangas, dourados, pintaros, and piaus, in addition to the flora decorating the underwater scenery. Despite their great value, the historical view of wetlands was that they were wastelands. Such a perspective led to frequent draining, diking, and otherwise modifying them so that the land could be made suitable for agricultural, residential, or industrial uses. The Pantanal wetland is on the verge of major developmental changes. An expanding infrastructure, growth in population, and expansion of industry and farming are all part of the changing reality of the Pantanal and the surrounding highlands at the beginning of the 21st century. Between major hydrological projects and the daily encroachments of housing developments, the Pantanal region faces great risks. There are a great number of grottos with deep underground lagoons that provide a favorite place for experienced divers to explore. 100 meters from the mouth of the Blue Lake Cave lies a lake of deep blue-colored water. No one has ever reached the bottom of this lake. No one knows for sure where this water comes from, as the rivers in the region have a slight greenish color, though it is thought that there is a subterranean river feeding the lake. The main source of water for the Pantanal is the Cuiaba, which is the principal tributary of the Paraguay River. The nominated site is located in the headwater basins of these two rivers, thus being critically important from a hydrological point of view, as well as for the role it plays in disseminating nutrients to the whole Pantanal region. The complexity of the Cuiaba River's hydrological regime reflects that of the greater Pantanal. Due to the combination of wetlands and the Amolar Mountains, the vegetation of this site is one of the most diverse compared to other areas of the Pantanal. It includes the vegetation of the dry savanna or cerrado and the semi-deciduous forest of South and Southeast Brazil. Floating island masses of riverine vegetation are found in permanent bays. For the whole Pantanal region, 250 species of aquatic plants have been reported, of which 100 are found in the nominated site. The slopes of the Amolar Mountains are covered by several vegetation types, including savannas and the endangered Bolivian lowland dry forests. Due to its geographical location and hydrographic regime, the park is the only area that remains partially inundated during the dry season, so wildlife, and particularly mammals, migrate to this area, searching for water and other resources. In the rainy season, the park is one of the first areas to be flooded, and from it water flows to the rest of Pantanal. Almost 10 times the size of the Everglades and the world's largest freshwater wetland, the Pantanal serves as a lush reservoir that thousands of species of exotic plants and a highly concentrated, diverse mix of animals call home. Unlike in the Amazon, where the animals are hidden out of view, the Pantanal is positively bursting with wildlife. With the biggest concentration of large animals in the New World, the Pantanal counts jaguars, giant otters, anacondas, caimans, hawks, macaws, marsh deer, tapirs, egrets, herons, monkeys, and ibis as a few of its many species of inhabitants. The word Pantanal derives from the word pantano, which generally translates as swamp, marsh, or bog. The Pantanal, however, is more than simply one of these specialized wetland types. The term designates a river floodplain region, an internal delta encompassing a variety of ecological subregions. One can find in the Pantanal an aquatic system of large rivers and standing water, terrestrial systems, and diverse types of riverine, palustrine, and lacustrine wetlands, the transitional halfway world between aquatic and terrestrial systems. With the highest concentration of crocodilians in the world, caimans are particularly abundant in the park. The visible density of the common species, Caiman crocodilus yacare, is 7.4 individuals per square kilometer, an estimate that likely undercounts by millions the adult caimans, given the problems of visibility. The yacare caiman is found in the lowlands of northern and eastern Bolivia and western Brazil, from the Amazon southwards to the Madeira and Paraná river systems, and into northern Argentina. Morphologically and ecologically, this species is similar to the common caiman. As with the common caiman, it is found in a wide spectrum of habitat types. The natural tendency of females to guard their nests is apparently influenced by human hunting pressure, which results in decreased nest attendance and a lower hatching success. The site is one of the most important breeding grounds for typical wetland birds, such as Djibouti stork, as well as several other species of herons, ibis, and ducks. Parrots are also very diverse, with 26 species recorded in the area. Because the hide of the Yacaré caiman bears wider flank regions than the other races of caiman, it has become the most desirable species, as well as the mainstay of the commercial caiman leather trade. Because more than 95% of the Brazilian portion and 70% of the total Pantanal and the highlands that surround the region consist of private properties, the Pantanal has been vulnerable to recent economic trends that have driven large-scale deforestation and agricultural development. On the highland plateaus that drain into the Pantanal, nearly 60% of the Cerrado forests have been cleared and converted to cash crops, such as soy, corn, and cotton, or exotic pasture lands during the last 50 years. These Cerrado forest formations comprise the second largest forest biome in Brazil after the Amazon, but are currently threatened since 55% of the original 2 million square kilometers have been converted to agriculture during the last 35 years. The decline in regional CO2 sequestration because of cleared forests, and the release of CO2 from decaying trees are serious long and short-term consequences of deforestation, both in the highlands and on the floodplain. Exacerbating increased CO2 releases in the region is the current demand by the Brazilian steel industry for charcoal fuel, which is produced from downed trees near deforestation sites. As demand has increased from the steel industry, charcoal producers have lowered the costs of deforestation, stimulating additional habitat destruction by short-sighted ranch owners. The Convention on Biological Diversity demands the assessment of biodiversity at both regional and national levels, and the formulation of strategies for conservation. During the last 30 years, the Brazilian government has implemented studies and development projects to integrate economically the Pantanal to the rest of the country. But in the last 10 years, those studies and projects have included the idea of conservation and sustainable development. The world's largest wetland of any kind, the Pantanal Conservation Area, was inscribed on UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites in the year 2000.